Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents at BookEnds who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. If you watched last week's video, or if you're watching these all out of order, if you are coming here from our last video on our process when we receive a query letter till we decide to offer representation, today we're going to talk about the offer call itself and specifically what we're looking for on that call.
Yeah, I feel like we've done this video and there's been a million blog posts on what the author should do during the call, but I don't think we've ever done what the agent is going to be doing on the call or what we're looking for.
Well, it's true. And I think, it's natural that all of that information really highlights what you should be doing and what you should be asking. But I think knowing also how we approach that call can be really helpful, not only for like what you can come prepared with, but also to then what you can ask. Like, I think it's also going to give some insight into what more you feel you should know on that call.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't know, what's commonly referred to as the call is it's that introductory meeting. We've read your book at this point. We probably sent you an email telling you how much we love it. We want to get on a phone call. And this call is just you interviewing us interviewing you, talking about a ton of things, but mainly our vision for the book and your career and how we work and what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's really it's sort of like a job interview in some way, but a little less one-sided. One thing I want to note on this call is this is really when the switch flips for authors, where throughout the querying process, you feel very much, although I don't think this is necessarily true, but you feel very much like the agents are in charge and you don't have a lot of control. The offer call is when that control comes to you because now you're making the decision about finding an agent who's right for you.
Yeah, I mean, so much of querying is about what other people are looking for. And I think at this point, it's now what you're looking for. And
so that's so much simpler than I did.
Put a lot
so much better.
Anyway, we've done a ton of videos, just to shamelessly self-promote. We've done a ton of videos on what you should ask, how to handle it, the process in and of itself. So please do watch those.
Yeah.
I think this should be maybe one of your last stops on that little playlist of how to handle an offer of representation. But again, there are a number of things that we're looking for. So we have a list and we're going to start probably with the biggest topic of all, and really what everybody wants to know when they get on the call is, you read my book, what did you think? So this is where we're sharing our vision for your book, how we see revisions happening, what we think needs to be changed, what you want the book to be, and how we think that we can then bring it to the market.
Yeah, and it's really important for me to sort of highlight I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of every revision I see and every line edit, but I want to highlight any major changes I see for your book or how I see marketing it to publishers, because if that doesn't align with your vision, we're not going to go anywhere. Yeah. So this is probably the most important piece of information that I'm going to be giving the author. And in some cases it can be pretty extreme. Like, you pitched this to me as a mystery, but I would love to see it as
coming from you.
Or I envision this going to this market, but if like maybe the adult market, but you sent me what you thought was a YA, but I see it more as new adults. Like, those kinds of things can really play in. But also, you have this whole character in there that really didn't work for me. Do you think you could rewrite them or write them out? Or, I've even had situations where I'm like, the killer, I think you got the wrong killer there. Are you open to changing the killer if it's a mystery, obviously? So really big changes like that, I think, are an important part of the conversation, because after you sign a contract with the agent and turn down any offers, that's a tough one to back out of if you're not seeing it the same way.
It's really crucial that the agent is, and you, but specifically in this case, the agent is 100% honest about what they see for the book. And like you said, we don't have to get down to, well, there's a word change here, there's a word change there. Bigger picture things like pacing, plot, character, all of that stuff should really be addressed, I think, in this
Yeah.
call. And I think if you're feeling like there's information being left out, it's really important to ask those probing questions about what the agent thinks will be a part of their revision
Mhm.
once you start working together. It would really suck to work together and just be completely surprised with the vision that you don't resonate with.
And that could include how the agent wants to sell it in. You know, if you see the book as women's fiction, but I see it as romance and I want to sell it to publishers as a romance, that may be great for you. You might be like, I can do that. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
If you see that's the style of my writing, I'm good with that. But if you really don't see that that's the trajectory of your next book in your career, then that's something you really need to discuss and then process.
And this is, I think, a time to come in very open-minded. Again, you don't have to agree to anything on the phone call, but I think having that like open mind, willing to accept feedback, I think that'll really produce a strong conversation for what the vision is, and
Yeah.
also help you determine and us determine if that vision is something we're both connecting on.
Yeah, and I want to hear from you. I mean, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm telling you this vision, and whether, you know, you may be, I need to think about that, which is fine, but you may also say, I want to hear from you. Like, that doesn't really align with what I'm thinking, or if you're not quite getting what I'm saying,
Yeah.
maybe
Well, the
you
best
elaborate more
offer
about
calls, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go.
The best offer calls turn into that like brainstormy kind of conversation, and it's really great because it's a signal for both of us of what working together might look like for the next book and future books. So I always love when I say something like, I don't know about that, but what about if this
Yeah.
happened? That always feels really good because it does feel like something in my notes are igniting creativity in you, which is really what we want to see.
Yeah, my best offer calls when it's a call and not a Zoom are when I just start pacing in circles around the office.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking and processing and we're already working together.
It's that like I said, it's just that sign that the minds are sort of melding there, which is always nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important to, you know, if you feel it right away, you feel that this isn't working for me or that's not my vision. I think it's important to be able to say that right then and there in that call.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I also think, sort of going into our next point as well, that vision for one book can be indicative a little bit of the vision for your career as well. Like where you see positioning this book, if it's your debut and ends up getting sold, could also then lead into your career. So how does that agent see your career? And what we're looking for is what you want to do. Do you want to be a romance author, for instance? Do you want to do 8 different genres? Do you want to write dark, write light, like all of those things? What do you want to do outside of books? All of that is really, for us, good to know.
Yeah.
And to see how we fit into that vision.
Yeah. And one of the questions that always comes up too from authors is, what's your communication style?
Yes.
And I want a sense of, well, what's yours? You know, does my communication style work for you? I mean, for example, for me, I'm pretty much email.
Me too.
I don't want to get Twitter DMs. I don't want to get texts, because when I have to go back and search through a conversation to find the list of book titles we've been discussing, I don't need to go to 4 different places. I like to file them in my email to keep it all there. But if you if you don't even have an email account, then that's probably a part of the conversation we need to have.
Yeah, well, all of that is what makes a successful author-agent relationship, even beyond what they think they can do for you. Like the nitty-gritty of how you can work together and whether you're going to sync up in that way. You can have, I can sell 10 books for you, but if something is not working about the way we work together, it doesn't matter how many books they sell for you. I just might not be the right agent for you. So having that conversation up front is crucial.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, I mean, also kind of segues into the same thing, right? Like the next point we have is expectations from agent, how they communicate, but also like, what do you want from us? Do you want us to be super involved in revisions? Do you want, to know everything? Like a lot of clients might not. Some clients want their passes, which I know you've had before, passes come 1 day a week. Like, what do you want? What is going to make things feel productive and manageable for you? Not every agent can meet every expectation. So it's really crucial that we know what you are looking for in an agent. Some also have those unexpected, like wildly like lofty goals, right? And that could not align with where I see the career going.
Yeah, I find that especially true, an especially big part of the conversation when authors were represented by somebody else before
Yeah.
and have experience and, let's face it, maybe some baggage, and they're coming with something. And what I need to know is, what are you looking for? What have you learned? What are you seeking that you didn't get before? And maybe I can't give you that. I mean,
Right.
that's the other thing, is you may be looking for somebody whose style is very different from the last person. And you may describe that and I'm thinking, oh,
Not me.
that sounds a lot like me.
Right.
Like, you're describing your last agent and it sounds like me. And I just don't think I can give you something different.
Yeah, and that's what this is. It's like both of us want to go in, if we work together before we make that official offer, we want to know that what we're doing is going to be productive, right? Like we want to sign for a longer period of time. And if we just don't see it, it might not be worth the time, taking the time from you, taking the time from us, especially since, let's face it, agents don't get paid until they sell a book. So if it's
Yeah.
not going to work out, it doesn't make sense to even sign the contract.
Well, I think what's really interesting is, unlike a job interview where you're looking to hire the best person for you, we're coming in looking to see that we are the best person for you.
Oh, I like
And
that.
we're sort of, our attitude in this call is, can I be the right agent for you? Here are my thoughts on how I see things. I'm asking you, are we a match? But I'm also saying, when I hear what you're saying, I'm thinking, I know myself well enough to know that maybe I'm not the match for you. Maybe I should back out and let you find the right person for you.
Yeah, we always say it's a partnership and we both are entering that partnership. We should both feel 100% confident.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? Anything else?
Yeah, well, you touched on it a little bit about if, somebody has a previous agent. I always like to know the career history, right? Like, where have you come from? What brought you to this spot? How many, if you publish other books, what your experience has been with certain publishers. I always like to know that because I think it's really helpful. I think where you come from is telling of where you might want to go. So I think it's always really helpful to know that. But I also really like to know your level of understanding of the industry and the market, right? Like, do you read a ton? Do you have experience with publishing a book traditionally? All of that is really helpful to know. How might I be of service to you too? Is it someone that I'm going to have to teach every instance of publishing to, which is not a bother to me at all, but it's good to know up front if I have to explain, well, what is a DNA payment? What is all of that?
I really wing it more than you do.
I'm not surprised by that information at all.
I end up talking about like where you live, if you have
totally.
kids, what do you do in your spare time? Oh, I love to do that too. And then I go off on a tangent.
Shock. Well, I think that goes into our next one. It's just a personality match. I think it's hard to have those conversations without some sort of personality match, right? Like, it can get hard, feel like pulling teeth a bit, but I'm really looking for, does conversation flow? And I know that you talked about this in terms of how you hire agents at BookEnds, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you want to sit down and have a beer with that person?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to work with people that you may not necessarily like very much. So I'm looking for that match.
I want to get off the call and be even more excited about you and your book instead of more hesitant. And it's not a bad thing, to be honest. If we didn't click on the call, it's not a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. Like, it's better to do it then than 6 months into a contraction relationship.
I also work harder for people that I like. It's the truth. And luckily I like all of my clients, but like, if you don't like a client, it's harder to feel like what we're doing is very like involved work. And if we're not super excited about it or the person, they can be harder to do it. So we want to know that we like the person that we're going to potentially work with. But
that works both ways.
Yeah.
From an author's perspective, we're managing your contracts, we're managing your money. We are the person going forth and talking to publishers on your behalf. And if you don't like us, if you don't like the way we talk, the way we present ourselves, our communication style, then it's going to be hard for you to trust that when we're talking to editors and pitching you, that we're doing it in a way that's comfortable for you.
It's all intertwined.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for you in with everything. It's going to be hard for you to trust us when we hand you a contract and say we negotiated it. And if you don't trust us, then how do you trust that we did that? So I think it really, there has to be a portion of that in this.
Yeah, we've done a video in the past of whether you can work with an agent you don't like. And I think it always just comes down to, sure, but why would you want to?
Why would you want to? Right.
Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
So
Life
I hope this was helpful. What'd you say?
I said, life is too short.
Life is too, it really is. It really is. But I hope it was helpful. I think we touched on the 3 major things that we're looking for, right? Like your career trajectory, whether our visions are lining up for the book, and just that easy personality match. I think those are the 3 biggest things that we go into a call hoping for.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so thank you for watching. We post new videos every Wednesday. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss one, and we'll see you back here next time.
Bye.